Okay, hello. Welcome to this Learn It Live training session. I'm Sam, a Learn It Live trainer, and in this session, I'm going to take about 10 to 15 minutes and go over some tips on how to be a really effective online instructor. So what we're going to look at are some of those things that we can do in the online realm to really be effective with the instruction that we're doing, because there are certain tips and tricks that are different from your in-person instruction that you do. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. If you ever have any questions, you can get us at support@learnitlive.com, and let's go. So really, when we're talking about being an effective online instructor, we're talking, the key here is going to be interactive, engagement, and promoting collaboration. So we really want to do some things that get people interacting, get people engaging with our sessions, and collaborating. What we want to avoid is that model where we're just talking at people and we're not getting them interacting with our content. We want to make sure we do certain things that really promotes the interactivity. And what's really cool is we found there's certain easy, small things you can do that really promote this type of interactive engagement and collaboration. So what I always tell instructors that we're training here at Learn It Live, a key thing you can do is get people interacting from the very beginning. One way you can do this is through intro activities. So as people come in, get them doing an intro activity. What's really good about that is, first and foremost, people get comfortable with the technology. They feel welcome to the session. But by promoting an environment where they're interacting from the very beginning, you're showing them that this is how this session's going to be. You know, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to engage with the content. We're going to interact, and it sets the stage properly. Another great tip is to call on people by name. It really humanizes the online learning experience that they have. So as you're going through your list, it's a good idea to, during your sessions, say people's names. So here I have Maria as a participant. I could say, Maria, if you have any questions, just let me know in the chat. Or what do you think about that, Maria? And when you're calling on certain people, specifically, it just lets them know that you see them, they're a member of your class, and they know that you know that they're there and you care about them. And it really does get people interacting more when their name's being called out every so often. Another great tip that we all need to, as instructors, need to implement in the online environment, and that's using tools to get feedback. So what's great about this virtual classroom is we have all these different tools we can use to get feedback, such as emoticons. So above where all the names are listed out, you can ask people to give an emoticon. I'm Learn It Live. I'm going to go ahead and do a smiley face. There we go, smiley face. And so this is something you can do during your sessions. You know, if everybody's clear on that, please give me a smiley face. If there's confusion, please give me a confusion face. Another great way to get feedback is to ask people to type things in chat. Is everybody clear on that? If you have any questions, let me know in the chat area. I'm going to keep going, but if anybody has any feedback, just post it in the chat. And then you're constantly monitoring the participant window where you see emoticons and the chat in the left-hand area, and that just lets you know the feedback as you're going. And that can be another great way of getting people interacting and engaging. Finally, it's a really good idea. I recommend do one interactive activity every 15 minutes. So if you have a 60-minute, hour-long session, you're probably wanting to build in 4 activities within that hour. And these activities don't have to be very long or involved or over the top. They can be, but the key thing here is get your participants doing something every 15 minutes so that they don't, doze off, go elsewhere on their computer. They're staying engaged with your content. So this could be doing activities in the chat. Maybe you're having people type stuff in. Maybe you're bringing up a blank whiteboard and having people do some activities on the whiteboard. There's lots of different ways you can do it, but the key is to build them in about every 15, 20 minutes. Okay, let's talk about a few more. Some other ways to really get people engaged and collaborating. A very good activity is what we've called user-generated bullets here. And these are group brainstorming activities. So at any time as a Learn It Live instructor, you can have a new blank page or any type of screen, a blank screen up here on the whiteboard. That's the main area that we're looking at. And you can get people contributing ideas and brainstorming on this whiteboard, just like it's a real-world whiteboard. So maybe you're in an art class and you're saying, everybody give me your favorite example of Picasso's certain type of art that Picasso did, and people are then can generate their own ideas and collaborate on the whiteboard. But group brainstorming activities are really fun because people are seeing what each other are doing in real time, and the whiteboard starts filling up with all the different ideas that have been contributed from your students. So great activity. Another thing you can do is guest experts. If you're running an online series here at Learn It Live, every so often it's fun to bring in a guest expert. So maybe if it's a 60-minute class, you're doing 45, 50 minutes, but maybe each session or every few sessions you can bring in a guest expert as well to add a little bit of a change up and a little flair. Another great thing to do is get your students actually presenting as well. So this again is for longer class series. You can have students presenting certain parts of the class, and that gets to be a lot of fun for the students. And then once they've done it, they really get even more interactive when they're just a normal student in your classes. So get students involved as well. Another really good tip for engagement is doing real-time research tasks. So we can go back to our art example. Maybe we're in an art history class and we're talking about Van Gogh, and you can assign the real-time research task to go out on the web and find your favorite Van Gogh painting and paste it on the whiteboard. So this is really anything on the web. You're assigning students to go out, do a little bit of research on the web, and then report back to the classroom. Really fun activity, and we see a lot of people having a lot of fun with that one. Finally, you can do it's a good idea to link asynchronous content with these synchronous live sessions. So just to clarify the meaning of these, synchronous sessions are the live interaction that happens during a Learn It Live session. Asynchronous is content where you are going. It's self-paced, and people are interacting with videos and other modules and other content on their own time. It's between classes. It's not in a live environment. Often it's a good idea to link this asynchronous with the synchronous live session. And for example, one way you could do this is maybe if somebody you can assign to your class to write on your Learn It Live discussion wall on the class page. And then in the next class, you could bring in some of that asynchronous content into the synchronous live session. Okay, so the other thing we'll talk about is, as an instructor, how can you lead your participants through a session so that they're getting the most out of their experience? And as the instructor, it's your responsibility to lead. You're going to be better trained on the platform because you'll have gone through some training sessions, and you'll have watched tutorials like this. You've launched practice sessions. You've done things where you understand how all this works. So it's really helpful when you take the lead and you specify exactly what your participants should do. So the most important, specify and direct focus. What should the learners be looking at? What actions should they be taking? So whenever I'm leading a session, I'm going to say to Maria, if you have any questions, please type them in the chat on the bottom left. Or if everyone will look at the slide, look in the top right, and you can point out a specific image. But the key thing is to tell them exactly what they should be looking at, especially when you're going on to something new, and what they should be doing. So really specify exactly what they should be doing and direct focus. Again, calling on people by name when you do that is extremely helpful. And if you're doing lots of classes or you're doing a series and you notice a student is particularly comfortable or tech savvy, you can go ahead and make them a co-moderator. You'll right-click on their name and you'll give their moderator privileges in this Learn It Live classroom, and then they'll be able to help you out as far as moderating the session. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about avoiding crises. We don't have many crises, but there are a few things that you can do to really make sure that everything's going to be really smooth. One thing is to always test audio and give yourself enough time to fix it. So to do that, you'll come in about 10-15 minutes early, as you normally do, to set up. And the first thing you're going to want to do is test your audio. So you go Tools, Audio Setup Wizard, and this is going to take you through a process where you can hear how your speaker output sounds, but more importantly, it allows you to test your microphone and make sure that that volume level of your microphone, your voice, is at the right level. So you'll be able to hear exactly how you sound to the participants in your class. So test audio. If you need to fix it, give yourself enough time. Usually this is going to be maybe you need to wear different headphones or switch to a different computer or use a different microphone, but normally it's going to be fine. Another good idea is to have a backup plan for your online session, especially if you're doing activities. Think about if there's anything that could possibly not work and what you would do. So an example of this would be, let's say you have an activity with a YouTube video, but then you go there to YouTube and they have taken down that YouTube video. The key thing is to know a backup plan of what you would do. In that scenario, you might just describe the video and have participants do an activity based on your description. Or maybe it's a different video that you could also know that you could watch. But just do have a slight backup plan so that if something unexpected happens, you'll know what to do. As Learn It Live, we send out reminders to participants about 6 to 8 hours before the class begins. That just lets them know, hey, this is how you enter class, and please come in a little bit early. It's also a really good idea for you to do that as well, to get in touch with your students and just remind them to log in at least 10 minutes early. 5 to 10 minutes is generally good to get into their session and be prepared. To send a message to everyone in a Learn It Live class, you can do that when you log into your Learn It Live account. Underneath each class widget, there's a little mail icon, and you can actually send a message to everyone in your class and let them know, please, the session's starting at this time, and just log in 5 to 10 minutes early so we can all be ready. And another key, always practice your session beforehand. Now, after you've done it 15, 20 times, you might not have to do that anymore, but especially when you're first getting started, great idea as an online instructor to get a little bit seasoned, and you can do that by logging into Learn It Live account, your Learn It Live account, and clicking Launch Practice Session, and then you can practice with a friend, colleague, coworker, and really get comfortable. Okay, let's talk about what happens if there is a crisis. How would you manage a crisis? The first thing, and this is really important, always get to the root of the problem of the crisis. Is it an isolated incident that's affecting just one person in the class, or is it a central issue affecting everyone? In our experience, 99% of the time, it's an isolated incident just affecting one person, and normally that's due to their a local internet issue that they're having. Maybe their internet has cut off for a second, or maybe it's just slow that day. So the key thing there is if it's only affecting one person, don't stop the entire session for them. It's not really fair to the other people, especially because it could just be that one person is having a momentary internet issue. So the best way to handle it is to address it to them. Say, hey, I see you're having some issues. I can see you're having an internet delay. It generally is going to get better, and you'll be brought back into live sync with the session, but we are recording right now. So if you continue to have internet delays, you'll be able to watch the recording. And you can do that over audio or over chat. But the key thing is that you address it, but you keep moving. Don't stop the entire session. And if it is a central issue affecting everyone, it could be that you're experiencing a little bit of an internet issue. And the best thing in that case is to exit, go back to your Learn It Live page, say enter live session, and come back in. Reset the session, and that normally will bring you back into live sync with everyone. Other great ways to manage crises: large groups, have a moderator help out. A coworker, colleague, or friend can often do it. If it's a Learn It Live class and you want a Learn It Live moderator, just let us know, support@learnitlive.com, and we'll work with you on that. And finally, and this strong recommendation to instructors, always treat the Learn It Live virtual classroom as a dashboard. Be scanning your participant window where you see people's names. Be looking in the chat area. Look for activity. Look at what they're doing. Always look for feedback mechanisms, because ultimately that allows you to make these online classes just like an in-person class. You're reacting to what your students are doing. You're able to see what they're doing. When they have questions, you're able to respond. So always be scanning the virtual classroom, especially the left-hand area where the participant window is and the chat area is, and look for those feedback mechanisms. So that's our rundown on how to be an effective online instructor. If you have any questions, you can email us at any time, support@learnitlive.com, and we're glad to answer them. Thank you very much, and happy learning.